And welcome back to Noon Edition. Sergeant Chad Recker of the Ohio State Highway Patrol. Lima Post is our guest, and summertime means people like to get out and start enjoying themselves. And when they're doing that, alcohol usually becomes a bit of that equation, and we really want to enforce the fact that drinking is fine, just don't carry it behind the wheel. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. Unfortunately, in Ohio, and especially in this area, we've been having some issues with uptick in OVI-related crashes, and unfortunately a lot of those turning into fatal crashes.
We've got some numbers to put up here from some studies that have been done since 2000 and 2022, and as you can see, OVI-related crashes accounted for 55% of all motor vehicle fatalities in that 2-year period. That's a pretty high amount.
Yeah, when you're talking about crashes having, killing people, the higher that percentage is, it's just more family members not going home at night. Through education, enforcement, the Ohio State Highway Patrol's going to try to be driving that number down as much as possible, through other forms of getting out and talking to people like this, OVI checkpoints. We're going to try to drive that number down as far as we can.
As you can see there as well, 50,000 OVI arrests being made statewide in that 2-year period, and that's an average of over 16,000 OVI arrests a year.
Correct. When you're talking about just one OVI arrest, you have people losing their license, possibly losing their car.
Insurance is going to go high.
Insurance going up, fines that come along with that. So you take that times 50,000 people going through that in that 3-year time. It's just way too much. And while we're out there trying to enforce it and educate people, we need the commitment from the community to, if you're going to go out and drink, designate a sober driver. And don't get behind the wheel if you've been drinking.
I know we've talked about this before as well. Motorcyclists are out and about in the summertime as well, and that's becoming a real problem, alcohol while driving a motorcycle.
Absolutely. With impairment, you're talking issues with your memory, physical issues, and then thinking ability. So it's hard enough to have that impaired and driving a vehicle with 4 wheels. Now you're taking 2 wheels away from that, and people are drinking and getting on motorcycles, unfortunately crashing as well.
We had another slate of numbers there that we can take a look at as well. In that same 2-year period, 38,000 OVI crashes in Ohio, and that resulted in 2,100 people being killed, another 23,000 people being injured. So it's not just the driver, it's the occupants inside the car, it's people in the other car that you're hitting that are playing a completely innocent role in this whole thing.
Right. When you have over 2,000 people getting killed, and like you said, 23,000 being injured, some of those injuries are almost life-threatening, definitely life-changing. And when you got one person, I've seen crashes, 10, 15 people being involved, just because somebody couldn't designate a driver and they got behind the wheel after drinking too much.
And there's nothing worse for you as a state patrolman than having to get called out to a fatality. I mean, that's the last thing you want to deal with, and then you have to inform the family.
Absolutely. That's definitely one of the worst parts of our job, dealing with fatal crashes, and then that follow-up. We conduct all next to kin notifications in person. So we make sure that we are sitting there with the family, and unfortunately we have to break that news to them that their loved one isn't coming home. And there's no easy way to do it, and if we can drive that down to where these crashes aren't happening, and we're not having to do that, it would be a better day for everybody.
All right, Sergeant Chad Recker of the Lima Post of the State Highway Patrol, we thank you for your time. Stay tuned because medical is coming up next.